Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. We've got Matheus Cunha, here we go, update on Liam Delap and Mbeumo, genuine interest there. Rumours around exits, including Onana and Garnacho to go through, loads to go through in a packed video. So my name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight into it. So I'm not going to I'm just absolutely glad this season is over. I'm not really going to mention too much about the game yesterday. Give us your thoughts and feelings, though, in the comments on the match. It was just annoying. Like, players can do it, I've seen it now with my own eyes that they are capable, but it's just freaking frustrating because where has that been all season? Unbelievable. But, I can just now erase this season from memory and just look forward to fixing it. That's the kind of main focus of attention now. We need to fix this season because it's been an absolute shit show. I'm not going to bother going into it. It is what it is. We are where we are, onwards and upwards. But just firstly, good luck to the three players that are leaving. They have gone on the tour, though, because they're still technically in contract, but it's their last final game at Old Trafford. So Christian Eriksen, Johnny Evans and Victor Lindelof. Best of luck to all three of them for the rest of their careers. We don't know what's going on with Eriksen, Lindelof, where they may end up kind of going. I don't know what's going on with Johnny Evans with his age and stuff as well. Johnny Evans has been a fantastic servant for the club. Christian Eriksen's been okay for a free transfer. Victor Lindelof's had his moments, probably outstayed his welcome a little bit, but genuinely best of luck for all three of them playing their final game at Old Trafford yesterday as well. And it's a nice kind of way because Bruno gave obviously the penalty to Eriksen. Apparently Eriksen said he was going to give it to Johnny Evans, but Johnny Evans was like, no, you take it and I'll maybe have the next one if there was another one as well, which I kind of felt was a nice gesture as well. What did we make of that? Bruno giving a penalty away. Do you think that's a sign that he's maybe staying, that he didn't want to score? But then I think Bruno's the sort of person, even if he was leaving, he would kind of do that as well. So I don't want to read too much into that as well. But best of luck to the kind of three of them in their next move in their careers. But let's go through the transfer news. So Manchester United and Matheus Cunha have reached full agreement on a 5-year contract. United will approach Wolves this week regarding the clause. Now, that came from Ben Jacobs last night after the game. If you watched yesterday's video, remember the Italian journalist Nico did say the same thing as well. So shout out kind of, sources or journalists when they're kind of correct on their information and stuff as well. But then Ben Jacobs said the pretty much the same thing, that reached a 5-year contract, will approach Raw. But then we had the man, the myth, the legend, Fabrizio Romano with his famous "Here we go." So Matheus Cunha to Manchester United, here we go. Verbal agreement in place between all parties involved. Cunha was signed deal until June 2030 with option until 2031. So Nico was exactly right yesterday with his kind of reporting on the contract length. Wolves to receive £62.5 million clauses, value in instalments. Formal steps and contracts to be checked next week. So Matheus Cunha, here we go. It's been a transfer that we've known about for a few weeks. Obviously, just tidying up the contract and doing the negotiations and bits as well does take time, unfortunately, but it's really kind of reassuring or relieving to know that we've finally got this kind of deal over the line as well. And to be fair, when I say finally, it was announced yesterday. So on the 25th of May, we've signed a very good player. Like, I can't remember the last time United signed a player literally the day the season ends, on the same day that we played our final match. An important player as well, a big player. I mean, big outlay, big kind of money as well. Like, I think this is a massive step in the right direction, and that shouldn't go kind of overlooked as well. The fact United have moved very fast to get this kind of deal done and over the line as well. But what are we getting with Matheus Cunha? 36 appearances this season, 17 goals and 6 assists, which is nothing to be kind of sniffed at. 23 goal contributions. He did about 21, I think it was, last season as well. So he is a consistent performer in the Premier League. Good age as well, 26 years old. Fantastic footballer. But the one thing I kind of did, I'm saying this before in previous video when I've been watching his highlights and a few of the games and stuff, he creates chances as well. So his assist numbers are probably under what they should be, because he's laid a few chances on a plate for players at Wolves and they just haven't been able to finish. If we can improve our finishing, he might end up the same. If we stick with the same other players, he might lay a few things on the plate to Højlund, who might kind of miss them. But that's by the by. He has created 13 big chances in the Premier League this season as well, which, just so you know, Bruno Fernandes has created 16 big chances. So Matheus Cunha is up there in terms of chances created with Bruno Fernandes in a Wolves team that is not as attacking as Manchester United. And we do everything through Bruno as well. Bruno is our only creative outlet because, it's one of these where I think his kind of numbers are a little bit lower because he's been playing at Wolves actually as well, and I think he's going to be a good player. We need to wait and see though, because we've signed plenty of good players in the Premier League, or plenty of players before who've come to United and not really performed. So let's see how he kind of gets on. I'm not going to go overboard or jump on the hype train that's kind of going around at the moment, because I fell into that trap with Andre Onana, where everyone was kind of saying, "Oh, transformative goalkeeper" and stuff, and I promised myself I would not fall into the hype train until we see the evidence on the pitch as well. Personally, I do think he's going to be a good signing. I think he ticks all the boxes of what we're looking for in terms of the position that he plays. His flair, his creativity, he's got an eye for goal as well, can score, can create, can take players on. I think he's a really, really good player as well, but we need to wait and see how he performs at United before I get too kind of giddy regarding it as well, as much as I do think he is a fantastic signing and a massive upgrade on the team as well, for his chance creation, goals, assist, everything you could kind of want, I think, from a forward coming in as well. Now, interestingly, Ben Jacobs said that Matheus Cunha is expected to wear the United's number 10 shirt. So what does that obviously is a tell, I think, in terms of one, Marcus Rashford, who is currently our number 10 as well. So if that's to be believed, that's obviously a clear indication, as if we didn't know already, though, that Rashford's going to be sold as well, especially Matheus Cunha is going to take his shirt number potentially as well, which, it is what it is. I think that's a good kind of fit and a good match as well. But give us your thoughts on the comments. Matheus Cunha, here we go. So that is effectively a done deal. We're just waiting for all the official kind of announcements and, shirt holding up and photos and all that stuff as well, which probably won't be done until we finish the post-season tour that the players and Amorim and everyone's kind of jetted off to Malaysia to do yesterday as well. But yeah, I'm excited. I'd need to wait to see the evidence though, because again, I don't want to fall into the hype train of being like the Onana hype train, I'll kind of call it. But I do think he is going to be a good player for us as well. Like, we need goals in this team. That's our number one kind of issue. I think we have other issues. I'm not saying it's the, but that there's the priority position. We know United's priority is the attack. They think that the reason we finished in the league where we have 15th is because of the goals and the attack, and that is what they're kind of going all out for as well. But yeah, give us your thoughts on Matheus Cunha. Give us your thoughts on the number 10 actually as well. Just, do you think that's do you think it's a good kind of choice for Cunha? Now, obviously, with him getting the number 10 shirt, or potentially getting the number 10 shirt, according to Ben Jacobs, what does that leave Rashford? Now, there's a really interesting piece yesterday from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic. And regarding Marcus Rashford, he had a couple of interesting things to say. So he said, Amorim's firmness with Rashford meant United were without their most experienced Premier League scorer, but people at the club considered it a price worth paying to set a broader standard. So Laurie Whitwell saying that United were fully behind Amorim removing Rashford, even though he was our top, our best attacking player, because it was a price to pay to set a standard at the club as well. And then Laurie Whitwell also said that Ten Hag had wrestled with the same dilemma, mentioning lifestyle when discussing Rashford as far back as pre-season 2023, but decided that after exiling Cristiano Ronaldo and Jadon Sancho, he could not afford another clash with and United needed someone to get the goal. So Laurie Whitwell also kind of suggesting that Erik Ten Hag bottled doing that because he didn't want to take the kind of risk that Ruben Amorim and the club have this season. And then, because we needed goals, and obviously he was justified in that because Rashford went on to have a 30-goal season that season, which did slightly paper over the cracks and paper over the problems. But then look at what happened the following season as well, with his night out in Belfast and all that, and his performance that year as well was absolutely terrible. So it was just kind of, I thought it was really interesting because for me, Ten Hag should have had the balls to do that, whereas Ruben Amorim has. Ten Hag kind of bottled that particular decision, but Ruben Amorim hasn't. Ruben Amorim's kind of come in and called it exactly how it is and said, no, we're not tolerating that sort of behaviour or that off-field or lifestyle or training. That's what Amorim's always come out and kind of said regarding Marcus Rashford. But according to Laurie Whitwell, Ten Hag toyed with the idea of doing that as well in 2023, but decided against it because he'd already, had the Ronaldo and the Sancho kind of incident and didn't want to leave himself too light, whereas Ruben Amorim's been like, I don't care. And that's why I think, kind of reading between the lines, when Amorim said, look, we're going to have to suffer and there's a storm coming, and he said in his recent press conference that the decisions that they've made this in the last 6 months since he's come in will hopefully help us going forward and help us going into next season as well. And I think he's talking about these sort of decisions. It's not just about the 3-4-2-1 and the tactics. It's removing the kind of problems behind the scenes as well and creating a better culture behind the scenes as well, which is exactly what he's doing with Garnacho as well. There's an update on him we'll go through in a second, but I found that kind of really interesting. I thought he just wanted to throw it in there when we're talking about number 10 and Marcus Rashford, because obviously, all roads are that he's going to be sold. We want to sell him this summer. Whether him, Aston Villa, now that they've missed out on Champions League, would be able to afford him, but the belief is he wants to go to Barcelona anyway, but we don't know whether that's going to kind of materialise, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. I felt that was an interesting kind of piece from Laurie Whitwell, and Laurie Whitwell for me is one of the best Man United journalists around as well. Now let's move on to some other news. So internal discussions have taken place about Bryan Mbeumo, but nothing concrete yet. United holds serious interest in him and has inquired about the condition of a deal. Personal terms won't be a problem. Now that came from Sully Talks, and Sully Talks, again, very, very good. It's actually starting to become a very, very credible source when it comes to United in terms of injury news, team news, transfer updates and bits as well. I would actually kind of think he's creeping up there with the the Ornsteins, the Romanos and the Laurie Whitwells and stuff, because he has been spot on with what he's been saying recently. Obviously called it yesterday, if you watched yesterday's video, that Onana would be dropped, and then mentioned about the Garnacho fallout as well. That's all coming from Sully Talks as well. So he seems to have some kind of connection or inside information regarding the club as well. So definitely one to pay attention to. Saying internal discussions have taken place about Bryan Mbeumo, nothing concrete yet, but they hold serious interest in him as well. And that would be insane, wouldn't it? Because we know we're looking for a striker. There's an update on strikers in a second. We've got Cunha. If you get Mbeumo as well, that would be, that's just a little slight upgrade on our attack. Because Bryan Mbeumo, again, going back to what I was kind of sharing regarding, chance creations and stuff, got 20 goals, 7 assists this season for Brentford, but created 17 big chances. So again, he is somebody up there in terms of with Bruno Fernandes in terms of chance creation in the Premier League as well, because I always think of looking at players where who are they creating the chances for in their teams, and obviously he's creating them for Wisa, who's had a very good goal scoring season as well. So but 20 goals, 7 assists this season is absolutely nothing to be sniffed at from Mbeumo. Quality player, hard-working, direct, has everything that we're kind of looking for in terms of Premier League experience, power, pace, athleticism, work rate, all of that kind of stuff. Ticks a lot of the boxes as well. The only kind of question mark for me would be the price. Does have a year left on his contract. So remember the story the other day that United were looking at play opportunities in the market with players with either free agents or in the last kind of 12 to 18 months of their kind of contracts as well. Would fit the tick the box for that as well. A lot to like about Mbeumo. It's just the price. What price are Brentford going to want? The fees being touted are like £60 million. I think that's way too expensive for someone with 12 months left on their contract. It is the sort of deal, though, that we paid 55 for Mount, didn't we, in exactly the same situation. So I wouldn't put it past old United doing that, but we don't know whether Ineos and the new kind of hierarchy are going to want to try and pay those fees. If you could get that price down to something more realistic, maybe about 40 with some add-ons potentially, I think would be for someone with 12 months left on their contract, because you've got to remember he is a very good goal scorer. 20 Premier League goals is absolutely not anything to be kind of rolled over or sniffed at, because it's an outstanding goal scoring record. So if you could get his price down and then maybe go for Mbeumo, that would be insane for me, and would be a massive upgrade on the attack. Cunha already is an upgrade in my opinion on the attack, but Mbeumo would be also a very good upgrade on the attack as well, and he would play in that right 10 position. And then Amad Diallo could play at the right wing back, because I think that's his best position in the team. I think he plays way better at right wing back than he does as the kind of the right 10 personally. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below, and give us your shouts on Mbeumo. What do you think there? Good signing, bad signing? We'll obviously need to keep an eye on it, because there's going to be plenty of other competition in the Premier League for him, and whether he's going to want to come, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'll bring you any updates when they come out. But give us your shouts on that in the comments below. Now, we know, obviously, we're looking for 3 forwards, 2 10s, and a striker. The striker's always believed to have been Liam Delap. Now, Nico, same journalist, if you watched yesterday's video, that did actually go first with a done deal for Matheus Cunha to United, has said that talks in progress for Liam Delap to Manchester United from Ipswich for £30 million, offered a contract until 2030 with the option for 2031. A deal is progressing. So Nico going again a little bit, saying that talks are in progress with Liam Delap. Obviously, we know he's been going around doing the rounds around Premier League clubs, having a chat with teams. I think the latest was Chelsea, Newcastle, United, might have been Everton as well, were another team that were kind of, heavily linked with him as well. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that one as well, because Nico, like I said, was spot on yesterday with the Matheus Cunha news. The Telegraph, they were also saying that Liam Delap is expected to join Manchester United. So 2 kind of outlets suggesting that United are, leading the race, or that we are going to be going for Liam Delap. Where that leaves the Gyökeres kind of situation as well, but it's always been believed that Cunha and Delap were our first and our number 1 kind of transfer targets. That's come out months ago from David Ornstein, and United are obviously maybe following through on that, because we know we have the funds for these players. I have doubts and question marks around Liam Delap, but if you've got Cunha and Mbeumo and then Liam Delap, I think that's actually okay, because you've got 2 other good-aged Premier League experienced players to play behind that can get goals and assists and can create chances as well, so that if you've got a younger, more inexperienced striker in Liam Delap, then, it will kind of help shoulder the burden a little bit as well. But I still have question marks around Liam Delap. But, it is where it is. We are where we are. If finances are tight and PSR is tight, then we just need to make do and do the best with the budget that we've got. And if that is Liam Delap, then, so be it. But we'll keep an eye on it for you. Now, just in terms of the overall recruitment, I felt, again, going back to Laurie Whitwell's piece, really interesting on the transfer and the recruitment strategy. So he said that Christopher Vivell is playing a key role in shaping United's strategy. Finding players suitable to Ruben Amorim's requirements has been the significant focus of conversation leading up to the summer window. The idea that the profile sought can translate across systems rather than be solely appropriate for the 3-4-2-1 formation. So Laurie Whitwell saying United are not going to be recruiting players that can only play in a 3-4-2-1 system, so we can bin all the kind of rumours and reports that we are going to be signing players specifically for this system, because we're not. We're going to be signing players that can play in multiple different positions and different systems. So that's kind of good for me as well, because obviously the risk is, if it doesn't work with Amorim and you get another coach in that plays a slightly different formation, then you've set yourself back years as well in terms of the recruitment. But they are going to be looking at players that can play in multiple positions. But it's the profiling they're looking for, i.e. pace, power, intensity, physicality. That's the kind of thing that we're looking for. Players like that, and then if you can get players that can, like Amad Diallo can play 10, right wing back, he's proven that as well. Bruno can play 10, obviously midfield as well. And then Laurie also said that United's squad is viewed as lacking the necessary athleticism to compete in the Premier League, and fixing that issue is the main driver in deciding targets, as seen in the Patrick Dorgu transfer. So again, Patrick Dorgu can play in different formations as well. He could play as a left back, left wing back, could play as a right back, and probably a right wing back as well. Pace, power, athleticism. Yes, he needs to work on his footballing and his final product and stuff like that as well. But that's the profile of player that we need. And Dorgu, has had a kind of, he's had a hit and miss kind of games, but he's 20 years old, first time in the Premier League, thrown into the deep end, having to pretty much play every minute of every game because we don't have any other options in that kind of wing back position as well. But you can see he's got it. He doesn't get bullied very often on the pitch as well, and more often than not, his bad touch is, he can get away with it because of his pace and his power and his kind of speed and stuff as well. So I like the profiling of the player. If you could get someone like that, which who's a little bit more experienced and better on the ball as well, then perfect. But I just thought that was really interesting from Laurie Whitworth because it puts to bed a couple of the rumours and the myths around we're not signing players for Amorim or just for this system. We are signing good players, Premier League ready, and that United have identified that we are lacking athleticism to compete in the Premier League as well, which I agree with as well, which is ultimately why we are 15th in the league, because we just get bullied in a lot of games and we get outran and we get out kind of as well, and that's the kind of profile of player hopefully we're going to be going for as well. And I think we'll just sign one. Matheus Cunha is effectively a done deal. So has all of those kind of things as well. Athleticism, strength, power, Premier League proven. Do you know what I mean? So it's hopefully a sign of things to come anyway. Now let's run through some exit news. So there's a possibility that Andre Onana will leave Manchester United. So interesting yesterday, actually, wasn't it? If you watched yesterday's video, obviously the report coming out from Sully Talk saying that apparently Onana, that it's unconfirmed at the moment. There are rumours doing the round that Onana's also been told to find a new club. And then obviously he wasn't in the match day squad yesterday. Whether we can read too much in that yet, we don't know, but according to Romano, he said there's a possibility that Andre Onana will leave Manchester United. Manchester United are interested in several goalkeepers, such as Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. Now, that's a goalkeeper that I do kind of like. 6'8", an absolute giant of a goalkeeper as well. But again, I know physicality is not necessarily that worrying with a goalkeeper, but it is when we've absolutely shit the bed on crosses and balls into the box and stuff as well. If you've got an absolute unit that's 6'8" and goalkeeper, I can't see him getting bullied too often from corners and set plays and stuff. Very good shot stopper as well. Valued at around 20 million euros, so not one that's going to break the bank as well. And then it'll be interesting to see what actually goes on with Onana. Romano was saying that there is interest in the Saudi Pro League, but it would depend on the price because obviously we paid a lot of money for Andre Onana. Thank you, Erik ten Hag, for that. But with his book value and PSR and stuff, there's not much wiggle room in terms of his price as well. So we need to see and wait and see what happens regarding that as well. But I think that's positive if we are, Romano saying there's a possibility Onana could be sold and that we are looking to bring in, obviously we know we're looking to bring in a goalkeeper anyway, but it's a buy to sell situation there as well. So I think that's quite kind of positive. And then on Garnacho, Manchester United and Garnacho feel as though that is the best time to part ways. The agent of Garnacho is now searching for another club for the player. Interesting, Romano did say that it's a parting of ways from both as well, where Garnacho wants to leave and Amorim obviously wants to remove him as well. So it's so interesting to say that it's not necessarily United forcing him out or kicking him out. Romano was saying, but it's a general parting of ways, and I do think there's something that's kind of happened behind the scenes in terms of attitude and an argument, something that's kind of happened, and it's all ended the way it was, which is a shame, but it is what it is. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. Don't forget to smash a like on the video. Smash a like on the video for the here we go for Matheus Cunha. That's exciting news as well. Plus, things going on potentially with striker and goalkeeper as well. So smash a like on the video if you're excited for all of that. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.